Hello everyone, welcome to our class. Today's video, I will show some examples to check how we actually fork the process. How many processes are created in your program? And what's the parent process? And what is the child process? I will show you a couple examples to give you an idea how you trace the code when you have a fork. Okay, so the first example is this. This is simple one. No, this is main function. So of course we will start from here to execute your main function. So right now we got the print L0. So we got a process go here, go to L0. And right now we have a first fork, right? So when we have a first fork, you will create a new process. So this is your child process. So right now you have two process. You have two process, one child process and another one is the parent process. So the parent process will come here, try to print out L1, and your child process will also come here to print L1. Okay, so both process come here to get the L1. So this is how you chase the fork. Okay, so right now both process come to another fork. So this is a new one. So there's a new fork here. Both process will execute this fork. So which means you will get a new one, new fork here, new fork here. So for your original child process, is create a new fork. And of course, for your original parent process, it's go to fork. So both process give you a fork, and at the end, it try to bring out by, by. So in this case, we know L1, uh, this one is a child, this one is parent. So this one is parent, okay? So this one still a parent. And this is the second child of your parents. So this is kind of second child, and this is your still the child, and this is from your child's child. So your child's child. So this is the child process of your child process. So you can imagine that this is your grandchild. Okay, so this one example shows actually when you run the fork, you generate a process, and this process will do the same as you. Even though you try to create a new process, new child process, this child process will also create its own child process. So you got like a full process at the end. This is the example, okay? So let's look at the second example. The second example, we start from here. We have the first one. The parent process come here, bring out L0, then there's a fork. So right now, we know the fork return two value. One is return non-zero, means it's a child process, it's a parent process. The parent process got the child process ID, so it's non-zero. If it's return zero, means it's the child process, right? So we know the fork created two process, not create two process, create a new process, the child process. And we check this not equal one. If it's not equal to zero, means it's a parent process, right? So the parent process will still go everything here. This is belong to the parent process because parent process will execute this. Why? Because the fork system code return non-zero. If it's return non-zero, means this is a parent process. For your child process, nothing happens. So the child process just finish and try to say bye here. Okay. So this is for your child process. And inside your parent process, it will continue to execute. So how it's execute? Let's see. Right now we come here. So your parent process will execute this line. So it's print out L1, and then it's go to another line. Fork. Again, this is fork. So it's try to create a new process. Still, it's create a second child process. The second process, child process, the fork return non-zero, means its parent. If it's return zero, the if statement is finished. The if statement is finished, which is just go to the next line, return by. Okay, and your parent process will continue to do this. So what's this? This parent process try to put L2 and do another fork. So this fork create a new child process. So the third child process. And after it's create a fork, because there's no if else statement, so both process just finish and come here. So at the end, you will print by here and by here. So how many processes we have? Actually, still this 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 processes, but all these processes are created. All these child processes are created by the parent process. There's no grandparent process case in this example. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the most complicated one. This is the last example. This example, we can start from main function. So we have L0. We have L0 here. And right now, we try to execute the first fork. Okay, the first fork will create a child process. So you can have a first fork. So for this one, fork can be 0 or one, non-zero, right? If it's 0 means false. Okay, so think about it. The child process got 0 as a return value of the fork system. So if it gets 0, 0, and anything should be 0, false, right? If this is false, false and anything is false. So actually, in this case, it's always return false for this line. If this is false, which means I don't need to print the L1, I just print out by. Okay? This is for the first child process. The child process equal to 0 is just finish and by. And for your parent process, because it's non-zero, so this is true. For your parent process, this is true. So it will execute another fork, which is this one. So you got another fork here. And this fork can be non-zero or 0, right? If it's equal to 0, means false. True and false equal to false. So still, it does not print L1, it's just print out by. Only your parent process, because will get the first child process ID, then get the second child process ID, both equal to true, so it will print out L1. Then it's print out by. So how many processes we created in this case? We only created 3. We only created 3 processes, okay? We created 3 processes. The first one, we created first child, but the first child just finished. It does not go to this line because of the end. Because the end it won't go to this line. If it's false, it just finish. So it's only created 1 child process. And the child process won't come here. Only the parent process, because it's true and something, we still need to evaluate. So we go here to check the second fork. So only a parent generates another child process. The first child process won't generate any child process in this case. Okay, so this is an example shows how many processes we created. In this case, we only have 3 processes in total for this program. Okay, so these 3 examples shows a sample how you trace this process history, how you trace the process, create a new process, and what's the activity, what's the action of a new process and old process. So I hope you can practice with some example to help you understand this a little bit more, a little bit deeper, because it's easy, but it's also complicated if you don't have experiments to check the code, line by line by yourself. So again, I think this is really interesting, a topic, and give you some example. Previously, you will be expert of this fork diagram. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope this video can solve some questions on this fork diagram stuff. And see you next time. The diagram is so fun.